Ob der wegkommt. Hello, hello. Hello, hello, first visitor. Hello, hello, second visitor of this live stream. This time it should work. Okay, this time it should work. Unfortunately, we are not in the climbing gym this time because the climbing gym internet was pretty shitty and we got kicked out quite a few times. And this was pretty annoying. So I thought I'm gonna just repeat this with better internet conditions. I'm now somewhere else. But yeah, I just wanted to get this post-trip live stream Q&A done, no matter what. So yeah, different time, different place. Let's try. Tell me, please, if you're there already, what's the quality like? Okay, Rahul Klankert. Hello. Hello, Rahul, from beautiful Austria. Give me feedback on the quality. Can you understand me? Can you see me properly? Is it good? Pretty good. Pretty good. I expected that already because we're now, yeah, in a secret place, in Austria, in Styria, where the internet should be pretty good actually. So here we can get this live stream done. Unfortunately, I can't jump around in the background here and do my training stuff because we're not in a climbing gym. But yeah, however, I thought I'm just gonna I'm gonna do this here with better internet because simply asking questions is or simply answering questions is somehow entertaining as well. I hope. You've got in the background here my friend. Is for he's for having a little bit of decoration for the frame, a little bit of a palm plant here, and we've got this beautiful lighting, which should put me in frame pretty well. Anne full of good, pretty good. That's awesome. Yeah, I think the quality is better than the other ones. Especially it shouldn't, at the beginning of the other streams, it actually was quite good quality as well. But always after like 20 minutes or something, I just get kicked out, and then in the middle of a question, I stop talking. And, for me, I can't really see the actual live streamed footage, which YouTube puts out. I just get a beautifully shaped frame where everything seems to be okay, So I have to rewatch every stream and see if it's actually, bearable. And it was always pretty bad quality, so I had to delete them essentially. But I think here it should be great. Bruno San Giorgio. Hey Manny, greetings from Brazil. Greetings from Austria, Bruno. What's up? So yeah, I guess I'm just gonna talk a bit about the trip. Trip was amazing. I'm actually here back in Austria already for like 1 or 2 weeks or something. As you guys have seen maybe in the videos, I was first in Norway, was there for about 1 to 2 weeks or something, and then headed back to Vienna, and yeah, hopped onto the plane, did a little bit of a short term, this was kind of a short term thing with Albarracin and the bouldering adventure, but it was a unique opportunity to get it done, which is why I wanted to do this trip as well, although I'm not a big fan of flying, as some of you may know. I don't like it a lot. I've got a bit fear of flying, I have to say. But yeah, it was a unique opportunity, so I did that one as well. And Albarracin is a really, really great bouldering area. Damn, beautiful sandstone, just epic moves, really interesting boulders. Definitely a lot better than anything local that we have here in East Austria, at least. So yeah, uh, was a cool trip, and yeah, I'm ready to be at home again, I would say, and get back into making more normal videos, doing maybe a little bit of a shoe review that I still want to do, and doing also a bit of a, clipping technique video, which is almost finished actually. I just need to get a few more shots done until I can post this one. And by the way, something else that I want to mention before we answer any questions, I see already some questions rolling in. That's amazing. Before we get started on the questions, if you want to follow trips like that a little bit more closely, because I'm coming into your area, maybe, okay, then you should check out the community tab from time to time of the channel. There is a thing called community up there, where there's videos and playlists and stuff like that. There's also community, and there I can post. It's a bit like Instagram, you can put up a picture and write a little text below it. And this is how I tried to update the people more, time closely about where I'm going in the near future, so that people could maybe get there as well and meet me, and talk to me for a little bit. Because if you're just watching the videos, you're always lagging behind like 1 week at least or something, because it takes a while to gather the footage and then to make an edit and then also to upload it, which was kind of a hustle, by the way, especially in Germany, which surprised me a little bit, to upload videos on the go somewhere with someone, some coffee shop Wi-Fi or something like that. But anyway, if you want to follow me for more closely on trips like these, use the community tab. I'm also going to use the community tab to, to put up my stuff, essentially. All right, with that out of the way, let's check out some stuff from the chat. Theodore Raby, nice beard. Thanks, man. Was growing a pretty substantial, I would say. I mean, for me, still embryonic beard during the trip. And at the end of the trip, I basically shaved it off, but I couldn't bring myself to shave all of it off at once, So I thought I'd just leave this little bit here and experiment around with that a little bit. Thanks. Anyway, Theodore, thanks. Günther Debretz. Maybe not about the trip, but do you do any other activity besides climbing, e.g. running, to stay lean? No, not regularly. I don't run, I don't cycle, I don't swim, although swimming, I think, would be a great, additional exercise to the climbing exercise itself, because it also tackles your upper body quite a bit in an endurance-y way, which gets the blood flow going and could eventually help you with recovery, actually, getting the oxygen into these areas. But unfortunately, I don't do it consistently. I do run sometimes because I use running to empty out the glycogen stores in my legs, actually. If I want to have an extremely good day, this is actually a pretty reliable method for making you a little bit lighter, simply, especially if you store a lot of energy and a lot of weight in your legs. Getting an evening run in the day before you attack the project, it can be really helpful, makes you a lot lighter. So this is something that I do sometimes if I really want to have that last 2%, performance percent. But it's very rarely, actually. Other than that, crag ascents. Crag ascents are my only aerobic exercise so far. Would you recommend to train? Elfriederich asks, would you recommend to train core every day? No. Honestly, I'm totally happy with training core and calisthenics once per week. I have the feeling if I do more than that, then I put on so much muscle, or I don't know, it seems to, for me, I have a little bit of a tendency to put on more weight quicker with this kind of stuff than is actually useful for climbing, because at some point it turns around and becomes a burden, actually, this additional muscle mass that you get in your shoulders and in your lats from doing all these planches and handstands and stuff like that. So I try to not overdo it, but still do it enough so that the performance stays the same in these kind of departments. I always want to be able to do a handstand. Always would be cool to be able at some point to do a planche. Still not there quite yet, quite close, but yeah, we need to train a bit more for that, I guess. But every day is a bit much, I have the feeling. Okay, for me, once per week is enough. I think for someone who is definitely weak in those departments, whose weakness lies in the core area, for maybe do 2 times a week or something, and tackle that weakness, get rid of it. But yeah, only in such amounts that it doesn't make it too heavy. But really, again, it depends on what kind of genetics you have. Normally, this kind of training wouldn't make you super heavy, I guess. Günther de Bretz, cheers from Belgium, by the way. Greetings to Belgium from Austria. Adrian Kempf. Do you have any recommendations for outdoor sport climbing for beginners in the near of Vienna? Outdoor sport climbing for beginners, Taligrad, Talhofergrad. Okay, it's 40 minutes from Vienna to the southeast. And beautiful crag, beautiful limestone crag. Kind of beginner friendly in a sense of the grading, but not so beginner friendly in terms of rock and style, because we've got limestone there, and it's already it's a little bit greasy already, especially the easier routes. They get climbed quite a lot. And there's also this white limestone, which makes it kind of hard to read routes, because all the chalk traces disappear on a rock, obviously, when the limestone is white as well. And when you're coming out of the gym as a beginner, you're very used to these calorie poppy holes, popping out into your face, grab me, step me. So it's not very hard for you to remember movements, to remember sequences, On limestone like this, it happens a lot with beginners. I have the experience, at least. They climb up a route, check it out, come to the bottom, and then on the next attempt, they forgot basically everything. Because visual things do not help them there to remember. In the gym, visual things like color and shapes, they help a lot with remembering movements and sequences. So in that sense, not so beginner friendly, but the crag is really nice, and it's a lot of easy routes there as well. So can definitely recommend the Talhofergrad. Ravi Chandra asks, let's see, hi Manny, how many times should an intermediate climber do antagonistic exercises and stretching? Antagonistic exercises and stretching, that's a good question, actually. Honestly, I again would say it's not necessary to go more often than 2 times a week with the antagonistic exercises if you do it right, if you do it properly and go to go to the point where you actually make gains, then you don't need to do it more often than 2 times a week. The other thing with stretching, I have the feeling that stretching is only particularly useful, beneficial for your performance if you do it in the leg area and the hips. That's what I always propagated, because it makes you more accurate when stepping and thereby more quickly with stepping. So yeah, stretching the legs, for me, I didn't get more improvement in terms of flexibility if I did it more often than, let's say, every second day. Okay, every other day I stretch, then I'm pretty happy with my stuff. Recently I got a bit lazy, especially when I'm on trips. Then I don't stretch that often, because you actually have to sit down and do it, and if the grass is wet, for example, you can't really do it. But if I'm in a climbing gym regularly, then I try to get it done every second day, and then I also make improvement. But it doesn't make a lot of sense to do it every day, I have the feeling, because then you're stretching over the stretching from last day. And this doesn't really, it doesn't really add up. It's better to have a rest day, let the muscles relax again a little bit, and then do another stretching session. So for stretching, I would go every second day, corrective exercises 2 times a week, I think. Jure Peros. asks, do you think climbing trips are essential or significant to improving your climbing performance, or is the main point just to enjoy traveling and experiencing new things? This is a very interesting question, actually, because I was thinking about the same thing with this trip, especially. This was a trip where I moved around a lot, okay? Especially because the distances were so huge. I mean, getting from Vienna to Rostock in Germany, from where I sat on the ferry to Scandinavia, uh, just alone this part is such a huge way, man. And you're moving a lot, which means that you don't have a lot of time in one single place, which means that you can't really project anything hard, which raises the question, how useful is this trip actually for my overall performance, because I can't really push my limits when I can't really project a route. So how useful is it? And I was thinking, despite all that moving and not really projecting hard, I came back from that trip and I felt quite strong here on my home projects, and also in the gym and on the 45er, for example. Now that might have something to do with the fact that the last part of the trip was in a bouldering area, and outdoor bouldering is always extremely useful for outdoor climbing, for outdoor performance. But let's put that aside and think about the experience aspect, okay? The experience aspect of visiting a lot of different crags in a short period of time. You're visiting limestone crags, granite crags, conglomerate crags, granite, by the way, granite. We learned how to pronounce this stuff, granite. Okay, but anyway, although you're doing less super hard moves, if you're not able to project, which only makes sense, you're getting a lot of diversity, a lot of different moves, a lot of different styles, sometimes endurance, sometimes more power endurance, sometimes more bowlery, like in the last week where I was in Albarracin, okay? So I think that from a pure mental standpoint, this also teaches you a lot, actually, in terms of movements and, you're getting a more holistic climber that way. And this is something that I can definitely recommend, even if you don't do this holistic experience at your limit, okay? Which in this case, in the case of this trip, was not possible because, again, I wanted to get to Norway. I wanted to get to Flatanger, and I only had 1 month and a little bit of time. So I knew I would spend a lot of time traveling with the car, and not so much time climbing. Of course, I could just push through and just left all the other crags aside and go to Flaktanger instantly, climb there for like 3-4 weeks, and then push through again on the way back. But this is it's torture car driving, which I'm not a great fan of. I just want to experience the land and the landscape and the crags and different people that I'm traveling through. So I'm pretty happy with how it turned out, actually. Interesting question. Thanks, Jure Peros. Anne Fuller Good asks, favorite climb from the trip? Favorite climb from the trip? That's a good question. The hardest climb from the trip was actually not that hard. It was 8A plus. This 8A plus in Flatanger in the Hansalan cave. But that's not really my favorite climb because it was cool. It was a cool traverse and an interesting setting. But my favorite climb of this trip, probably a route called Hans outside of the Hansalan cave, which is just a 7B, but I had a really cool flash on this route. And it's such an exposed needle out there in the sea of granite in front of the granite, sea of granite, my friend, just in front of the Hansalan cave. And you're super exposed and you're having this epic view, above this fjord, and you can look back to the sea and everything. So that's gotta be my favorite climb from a setting point of view, I guess. I bet L asks, how would you recommend finger strength training without weights or equipment? Without weights or any equipment? You mean not even having a hangboard? Well, in that case, just climb. in that case, just climbing, especially outdoor bouldering on extremely small and crappy holds, is gonna yield the most finger strength progress by far, in my experience. Okay, I'm gonna turn the laptop here a little bit to bring my friend the palm into the frame a little bit more, which is assisting me during this live stream here. We wanted to have a little bit of deco for this stream, so it's a nice decoration. What do you think? Joey Kunsch, going to Flatanger soon. Can't climb anything there, but really want to look at silence and Odin's Eye. The thing is, you only know all the super hard routes from Flatanger, from the Hansalan cave, but outside of the cave, the rock gets more and more vertical, As the rock approaches the cave, it's getting more and more overhanging, and inside the cave, it's obviously super overhanging. But outside of the cave, it's pretty vertical, and there's huge, long, just great endurance pieces out there. 7As, 6Cs, and stuff like that. Often with a prolongation, which is then harder. But again, there is still 6Cs and stuff like that, 6Bs. So you don't necessarily need to be able to climb 9A or something to have fun in the Hansalan cave. Maybe to have fun in the Hansalan cave, yeah. But outside of it, where the setting is just amazing as well, you can do also easier stuff. But yeah, check out, at least look at Silence and Odin's Eye. It's just, especially the rock formations on Odin's Eye are just amazing. It's crazy to me how nature is even able to produce such rock formations. John Kesey asks, who is your favorite climber of all time? Well, I was always a great fan of Adam Ombra, to be honest. It's a bit of a stupid answer, because he's at the same time simply the best climber. So yeah, being a fanboy of the best climber is not really very creative. But I just like his in this human, a lot of things come together. He's very smart. He's very he's almost machinistic. Almost machinistic when it comes to climbing, and his executive power. Super precise, super fast, and at the same time, it's just a very down-to-earth guy. When you're talking to him, he's very, very friendly. Very open. Shares a lot of stuff from his life. Just now with his channel as well. I guess a lot of you guys have seen his videos, or at least some of his videos. Has no problem with sharing, some insights and stuff like that. And he comes across really natural, and that's what I like about him. Despite being this robot, despite being this machine on rock, it is something really cool that I like about him. So let's see what we have here. Oh, chat jumped down again. Davide Ross, hi Manny, it's Davide here. Cool to see that you're active in YouTube again after seeing you. Keep crushing it. Nice one. Paolo Guilherme asks, hey Manny, hope you enjoyed your trip. I did, man. It was amazing. I'm on a discussion here and want to know your opinion. All right. Is bouldering strength training for sport climbing? Does one kind of climb help you develop the other? Bouldering, especially outdoors, will help you super much when it comes to outdoor route climbing on rock. Okay, this is something that I have experienced myself. It's incredible. You can literally jump through your freaking plateau that you had for 3 years or more via just doing a 2 week, just doing your first 2 week bouldering trip or something. Okay, it's crazy. So definitely true when it comes to the outdoor stuff. Now, when it comes to indoor, the question really is, what are you doing for what kind of style, If you're doing modern, jumpy, coordinative bouldering in some super modern bouldering gym, that's not going to help you a lot for outdoor sport climbing or bouldering, okay? If you, on the other hand, do indoor training on a 45-degree overhanging system wall with some really crappy small edges, it's a different story, because this is much more similar to outdoor climbing, and especially when these edges stay on there for quite a bit and get a bit greasy, then you have to use even more precision and more body strength to sort in those holes. And this kind of indoor bouldering is going to help you for outdoor climbing as well. Ja, okay. Ich sage dann nachher Hallo, okay? Erkläre die Situation. What I want to say as well is that indoor sport climbing is not gonna really help you with anything apart from indoor sport climbing. This is something else that I've experienced. Even when I was super fit indoor on sport, which is just really this endurance-y climbing, because usually people don't set bouldery routes indoors. That just doesn't really happen because it's not so consumer friendly. Usually you just climb these endurance climbs, and it's gonna maybe give you a little bit of shakeout endurance or power endurance, but still, if you would do just outdoor route climbing, you would train that in a much more efficient way. Okay, so what I would say is outdoor bouldering is definitely super effective strength training for outdoor route climbing. This is something that I have experienced. Indoor bouldering, in terms of a 45-degree system wall, when it's set well, when you have good boulders, can be very useful as well. But other than that, really outdoor bouldering and outdoor sport climbing is gonna get you good at those two the most. The more time you can spend with those, the better, the more progress you will have. So what we have here, Theodore Raby says, you should come to Font for bouldering. The season is starting. Would love to, man. Would love to. But I think also the season is starting for me now to work in the climbing gym a little more again. So the next trip is definitely a little bit of time away. And yeah, let's see where it's heading. Let's see. Adrian Camp says, thanks. No problem, man. EMAC4D, how would you train when you have no access to a gym or rock? What equipment would you get built for home gym? First, hangboard, okay? The first thing that I would get is a hangboard. Now, why? Because with a hangboard, you can at least train the most important factor for climbing, which is finger strength, okay? For climbing performance. Or you can at least keep the level that you have. So even if I would, for example, if I would go on a trip now, which would not involve climbing at all, okay? So let's say you got a girlfriend, okay? The girlfriend is absolutely not interested in climbing. She just wants to lay on the beach and, enjoy the nice sun and stuff like that, This is the prime example, because this actually happens quite a lot. What would you bring with you as the guy, who wants to at least keep up with his climbing performance? The number one thing that I would get on a trip like that, Bibione, Italy, on the beach or something like that, get a portable hangboard. And every second day, hang on there for 1 hour, do some really intense max hangs to at least keep your maximum finger strength up. So yeah, if I don't have a gym or a rock, the first thing I would get is a portable hangboard or something like a hangboard, something to train fingers. And after that, something which would also be quite effective, I think, would be doing simple core, calisthenic stuff on the ground or with parallettes, something like that. And if you can, maybe build yourself something like a campus board or something like a small system wall or something like that, okay? If you're just having a small, like, let's say 2.5 meters high, 45-degree overhanging system wall at home, maybe on your maybe in your garden or something like that, this is going to help you tremendously, man. Just at least keep up your fitness and maybe even increase it, depends on the holes. And some small wooden holes that you can screw on there, or even out of rock. Maybe we just created the first rock holes actually out of rocks that we collected in some sort of riverbed in Italy, just by simply drilling some holes through and making it possible to screw these on the 45er. We created some of these rock holes, and we're gonna set them actually quite soon, I think, onto the 45er on the Andromeda wall. So if you can get something like that, just amazing. You can push your performance with a hangboard and a small system wall, just to be able to do 3 consecutive moves. You can build super hard boulders if you have the right holes. Wie schaut's aus? Oh, that's an interesting question right there. Daniel Miller asks, what food/foods gives you the most energy? Super complex question, man. Super complex question. I say it again and again. The keto crew is gonna crucify me for that. But yeah, okay, viel Spaß. The keto crew is gonna crucify me for that, but carbohydrates are gonna give you the best max strength, okay, in my experience. I have quite some experience with keto as well. I've fasted a lot, as you know. I did the fasting experiment, which is very effective as well, because it makes you light, simply. But having carbohydrates stored in the form of glycogen in your muscles is going to yield the greatest max strength. Now, then we can discuss whether this advantage is more relevant than the weight advantage that you have if you're on keto, where all your muscles are empty and, consequently, your body is lighter, of course. So if you're empty of carbohydrates, your body is going to be 1 or 2 kilos lighter. And of course, that's going to give you a tremendous performance boost when it comes to climbing as well. Because as we know, climbing is essentially finger strength divided by body weight. Okay. So that's going to help you as well a lot. But pushing the weight factor aside, carbohydrates in your system are very important for the max strength, in my opinion. And apart from that, there's something else that I've only discovered recently is the power of, sorry vegans, but the power of red meat is also very, very huge. I think it is because of the creatine, which is stored in that meat as some sort of super quickly available energy, okay? Storage of energy which is getting empty very quickly, actually. But you can definitely feel it, okay? It is so significant that you can feel it. And especially as someone who's coming from a vegan background, where I didn't have these kind of foods for over 2 years, I could really feel the difference, all right? When I started experimenting with these sort of foods again, red meat's really powerful, okay? Especially when it comes to max strength. But again, also puts on some weight on your body, okay? Also puts on some weight. So you always have these pros and cons, which are relevant when it comes to climbing, less relevant when it comes to other sports. There's also a reason why, by the way, things like veganism go very well with certain kinds of sports, because these diets make you very light. For example, for being a ultra endurance runner or something like that, it is important to be very light, actually, because otherwise it's simply going to wreck your muscles in one ultra endurance run, or your joints or your tendons and stuff like that, okay? These diets make you very light. And the interesting thing is that you're not really, when you do the switch, okay, to an omnivore diet again, you're not really gaining a lot of frame, you're not really gaining a lot of volume, but you're getting denser again in some certain way. I don't know if that has something to do with the density of your bones, or the density simply of your muscle tissue, or anything like that. But you're definitely getting heavier again, and I think it's because of increased density, okay? Which is kind of interesting when you think about it, actually. But yeah, to get back to the question, Daniel Miller, thanks for this very interesting question. What food/foods gives you the most energy? First of all, having carbohydrates in your system when you want to perform well is kind of cool. and red meats, red meats on the day before the project day, because then the creatine stores are gonna fill up. You could, of course, also supplement creatine, but since that is an artificial process, I'm not a huge fan of it. I never tried it as well. So yeah, for me, I go the natural route, and yeah, it seems to have red meats seem to have this power. Certain cuts of the animal, I mean, now it's getting really detailed, but certain cuts more than others. You can actually taste it as well. But yeah, that's another story. I bet L. Yeah, you can't properly practice technique without actually climbing. That's pretty true. You have to have at least some options to do some moves. Ravi Chandra, how do you plan your training? Do you train explosive moves one day and endurance other day, or do you train according to your project? Recently, very good question. Thanks, Ravi. Recently, I was training a lot according to my project, simply. Okay. If I would not do that, if I wouldn't have a project, I would train always the max strength part of my training, would train it first. On the second day, maybe do the more endurancey part of the training, and on the third day, do a rest day. Okay, this would be a pretty simple, pretty cool routine. Max strength first, because endurance you can still train without having a lot of max strength left, and then doing the rest day and repeat. Okay, so this is just a very, very basic cycle. I say I'm training according to my project because I've got this interesting 8C Plus project, picked it up again. I think I tried it this spring, or was it last year autumn? I don't know anymore. It's really bouldery, super bouldery. Actually, we've got something like a 7C Plus / 8A boulder at the start, then some burly moves through a roof, which is going to empty out your upper body, no possibility to rest, not even possibility to chalk up, actually. And then we're starting right away into another 7B plus / C boulder problem, which amounts up to an 8C plus route. And what I actually did was I constructed two boulders which are matching these two boulders in that route on the 45er system wall, which we have in the climbing gym on the Andromeda wall. And this seems to work pretty well. We're gonna see again next Monday, hopefully, because then we get a little bit of a temperature drop here in Austria. It's almost a bit like a Mission 8C Plus going on here in the background, I have to say. Lots of planning involved, and also including the weather and conditions and stuff like that. Maybe I'm also gonna fast tomorrow to be extra light, do a little bit of an evening run to be super extra light, maybe, who knows, and then try it again on Monday. I don't know. I have the feeling I'm quite close, actually, to that thing. But yeah, I trained according to the project recently, which meant basically only bouldering, only bouldering on the 45er, doing these two boulders. I set them a bit harder than they actually are outdoors, so that I can really train on these boulders and get some improvements, Ravi Chandra asks, how much time do you train every day, and how do you do it? Do you do stretching in the morning and climbing in the evening? I train every day. I don't train every day, first of all, but when I train, I never train longer than 4 hours, maybe. Okay. I also do very rarely multiple sessions a day. This is something that is just not my thing at the moment. I'd like to have one nice session, destroy myself completely, and then rest. The thing is, do I do stretching in the morning? I do stretching every other day, ideally, as I said before. I think that's a pretty good routine if I'm, if I'm on the thing, if I'm not lazy. I tend to get lazy with stretching very easily. But yeah, that's what I do. Stretching always in front of the climbing, especially with the legs and hips, because again, as I said previously, it's going to improve your stepping accuracy and your stepping speed, which is amazing. For training. And then I simply boulder, and if I have the feeling I didn't empty my fingers completely with the bouldering, then I add another few one-armers on the hangboard or stuff like that, to finish myself off, and then I'm done. It's been working pretty well actually the last couple of days, and I think the fitness is increasing quite significantly at the moment again. Also, I found an outdoor bouldering area close to Graz, which is amazing because outdoor bouldering, as I said before, is just amazing for outdoor route climbing. Marian Lösch asks, what about doing a series about a 9A project? Man, I'm actually planning that stuff, okay? From choosing the route to checking out the moves to specifically training for it and finally sending it. Yeah, that would of course be great. I found a 9A route already. I'm not gonna disclose now what it is especially and where it is and stuff like that. I found in the meantime, I have a little bit of experience with trying 9As, because every time when I encounter one, I just check it out, and see how it is. This is something very important. Great respect. We're gonna have to talk about that in a separate video, actually, because it's holding a lot of people back. Great respect is such a huge topic, actually. The bold climber, who just goes on the route, although they are much too hard for him, that one's the one who's gonna progress the most, okay? Because although he may not send these hard checkouts, but he's conditioning his body to getting to these moves, to this difficulty, getting it used to this difficulty, and by that, with time, he just simply gets into it and may send it at some point, So great respect is really something that holds a lot of people back, and maybe held me back even for quite some time, because I didn't try anything harder. Now that I tried a couple of 9As, I have a feeling that some are more doable, some are less doable. None is impossible. Nothing is impossible. It's just a question of how much time do I want to spend. And yeah, when I'm gonna attack this one hard, maybe we're gonna do something like a Mission 9A or something like that, okay? That would be pretty cool. Miguel Simones Nunes asks, hi Manny, did you take full rest days between climbing days while you were in Albarracin? Also, do you think it is a nice place for beginners who climb up to 6C, more or less? In Albarracin, we had exactly, I think, 4. I had 4 proper climbing days. Damn, the chat jumped down. I need to scroll back. There we are. I had 4 climbing days because I was a little bit sick on another day, and 3 of these days were back to back. Okay, so on the first day we had a pretty good. No, how was it? The first 2 days we did back to back. Then we had a rest day. Then we had another 2 good days, and then I got sick. Okay, so it was a little bit unfortunate. I couldn't try as much as I would have liked to, but the outcome was not too bad, so I'm still quite satisfied. Yeah, that was the pattern. If you would have more time, if you wanted to get used to the crag, to the area, to Albarracin as quickly as possible, I would recommend you to do 1 proper day of bouldering, 1 rest day, 1 proper day of bouldering, 1 rest day, 1 proper day of bouldering, 1 rest day for 2 weeks. Then you get accustomed to this kind of rock. It's because you have to realize that you only recover and accustom your body on the rest days. And the more rest days you can actually get in, the more earned rest days you can actually get in, the quicker your body is gonna adapt to any kind of crag. Okay, it doesn't only hold true for Albarracin. And once you're adapted, then you can increase the density of climbing days. Okay, maybe do 2 climbing days and 1 rest day. 2 climbing days, 1 rest day. Just simply to increase the number of sands that you can get in with more climbing days, obviously. And with Albarracin especially, it's amazing that you almost always have good weather. Okay, so weather is almost not a factor there. Okay, if you have weather as a factor, like in Flatanger, for example, where on every good day you get on average 1 bad day where it rains and is shitty and super moist conditions, then you have to take a look at the forecast a little bit, and plan ahead. You won't rest when there's super shitty weather in front of you. Okay, then you will have to get your climbing days in. But yeah, that's so to say the strategy, including weather conditions and stuff like that. We've got a Ross Leach here. Hi, I'm from Canada, BC, British Columbia is this, I think. and will be traveling to Europe this coming summer. I was wondering what guidebook you recommend for climbing in Flatanger. I think there is a Norway guidebook. There is a Norway guidebook, and just generally tips for exploring Europe. Generally tips for exploring Europe, man. You can find great climbing, absolutely great. I mean, you can find enough climbing for the rest of your life just in Spain. Okay, so just go where you want to go. Also, take a look at the season. You said you go there in summer, so it's gonna be super hot in Spain and Greece, which puts you. I mean, if you want to have good conditions, you could go to Scandinavia, for example. Check out Flatanger. Check out Norway. It is a great option. Okay. Good guidebook for Flatanger. I think climbing Norway. There is something like climbing Norway. There is also, I think, a guide which is designated to Flatanger itself, to the Hansalan cave at least, and the surrounding crags. There are a couple of more easier crags around in Flatanger, but I don't have the name in my head now, to be honest. Martin Fiddy asks, do you plan to visit Labak, Dornis Lab in Czech again? I was there for first time about 5 years ago, and since then I'm totally hooked on it. Best place ever. Damn, it's great. I would really love to go back there. Okay, dog is coming home at the moment. Just great sandstone climbing, and I gotta be honest, I also like the mental aspect of it, especially on the Czech side, where although it is bolted, but it is at least bolted in a very, it's at least bolted in a very manly way. Let's put it that way. You have to be a little bit brave, to a lot of people don't like that, and it's debatable, whether it's actually a good thing or a bad thing if you almost kill yourself on the way to the first bolt. We could debate it, but at the same time, it adds another factor to the climbing experience, namely the fear factor and the mental aspect, simply. Okay, so something else to deal with, and this is adds another factor of complexity and interesting things. So now I can also understand why, for example, thread climbing and stuff like that can be so interesting for a lot of people, more interesting than just simply sport climbing. Yeah, this is something which is there as well, and which I liked a lot. Also, the surroundings and settings, with this ferry across the river and stuff like that, it has something really special there. I like the place a lot. Isabel Purat asks, are you sponsored? Is so, how did you get your first sponsor? I'm not sponsored. I did never get any money for climbing hard. Okay, I just got money for training people, giving lessons, giving courses, doing that kind of stuff. Okay, I do that stuff quite well, I guess. So I could earn a decent income, I think, just by simply doing these things. What I do get sometimes is stuff. Okay, I mean, I got climbing shoes from time to time. I got training equipment from time to time. This kind of stuff, free stuff essentially. But I'm not sponsored by a brand or something like that. Okay. Why is that? Simply because I'm not training, because I'm not climbing strong enough. Simple as that, I think. Yeah. I mean, I never asked because, quite frankly, I don't need it. Okay, and I also don't plan to try to live from just climbing hard. I think that's it's a bit of an empty thing. I want to give something back as well, apart from great photos or stuff like that. Okay, I want to give something back. I want to be a trainer, help people increase their fitness, increase their health. This is something that's a pretty satisfying job, actually. I think it's much more satisfying than chasing grades, to be able to send a photo to a sponsor of yours who needs it because he wants to publish something in the next magazine or stuff like that. Okay, apart from the stress which that creates, which is you always have to send something harder, something harder this time. You have to get stronger and stuff like that. Okay, so yeah. Nein, danke. Geht schon. Geht schon. So much for the sponsor questions. Interesting question, actually, as well. Especially after having met a couple of people who were sponsored themselves and not even super known, you know. There's a couple of people out there who are sponsored by certain brands, but still not really famous climbers or anything like that, okay? And even on them, I could feel that there's always this kind of pressure, you know. You have to get better, you have to do something for the sponsor, and it's not a lot of money, okay? There's not a lot of money in getting sponsored by climbing brands. That's just not just climbing is not mainstream enough still to for the brands to be able to afford that, okay? Unless you are the very best, unless you're top, and I'm talking top 10 here, okay? And top 10 is maybe even a lot top 5, okay? Then you can live from it, actually. But yeah, think about being top 5 in the football, in the soccer game, you know. If you're top 5 in the soccer game, you're made, okay? You're made for the rest of your life. You never have to work again. This is not the case with climbing, but it makes it much more sympathetic, actually, that way, and I like it that way, to be honest. Joey Kunsch says, you just talked about my comment and said there are a lot of 6Cs and 7As. My highest grade was 6B+. I want to try to find some fun exposed 5B to 6A climbs. Thanks for answering. Was this the Flatanga question when in that case? Or was it the easy crag around Vienna question? In both cases, I would think you would find something there where I guided you. Did you try Rammstein? Favorite problem there? No, unfortunately not. Unfortunately not. Yun Yi Yong asked this. Did you try Rammstein? No, we saw it in the topo, but we never really ran across it. So I didn't try it, unfortunately. Smarnka says, your yesterday's live stream actually inspired me to go outdoor climbing today. Amazing. Go outdoor climbing. It's amazing. Enjoy nature, enjoy autumn in case you're somewhere where there's autumn at the moment. Here it's getting more and more autumny at the moment, which is great because that means good conditions. So yeah. Yun Yi Yong asks again, how small is that left hand hold on La Fuente? The left hand hold on La Fuente, the side pull, it is actually not even that small. It's absolutely not in cut, which is kind of a problem. But it is very wide in a sense that you can grab it on a few different spots, you know. But it's only really good at one spot, or really good. It's definitely not anywhere, but it is holdable at one certain spot, and you definitely don't have to forget your thumb. Okay, full crimp that guy. He doesn't really like it. He doesn't really let you do it. But if you do it, despite that, you're gonna get more out of this hold. Okay, so so much about the La Fuente hold. Trying it in a few weeks. Have fun, man. It's a great problem. Bruno San Giorgio, how many times a week should I train calisthenics? Bruno, my friend, 2 times a week. If you don't have crazy genetics which make you put on super much muscle in a short time, okay? Because then these muscles are gonna make you heavy and you're not gonna perform as well on climbing, which is the end goal, right? Unless you want to be a calisthenics guy, then focus on calisthenics full force, of course. But if you want to do calisthenics for climbing, the way I do it at the moment is once per week, okay? Once per week. It's enough, man, because otherwise I put on too much weight, okay, simply by additional muscles, which I don't really need, because all the muscles that we want to have is actually in our forearms. Everything else should look like a stick figure when you really want to nail it down for climbing performance, okay? MK asks, do you have a girlfriend? Yes. Yes. T. Kevin, 1 questions. Don't know what that means. The Dan Stone Cold channel. I have a problem. Injured my pulley, middle finger. Looks like a ball inside the skin. Okay, that sounds like a ganglion. It's not trigger finger, and I am desperate and depressed. I have projects and I can't climb them. How long do you think? As long as it's gonna take, man. As long as it's gonna take. That's all I can tell you. I'm having my freaking slight elbow tendinitis for over 2 years now, man. What can I tell you? These things take their time. It's getting better, by the way. So even after 2 years, it could be that it just starts to disappear in 1 month. Okay, but you have to sit them out. Always stay below the pain threshold, but keep the tissue active, climb soft problems, get the blood flow going, keep the stuff warm, get nutrients into the area, maybe massage it from time to time. If it's really a ganglion, then you should be able to press the fluids out of the ball. But uh, of course, don't do anything that I'm going to tell you here. I'm crazy, and you should always go to your local drug dealing doctor to get his advice, because it's much more valuable than my advice here. Just to have that said. The Dan Stone channel asks again, I would take to recover. How long do you think it would take to recover? Week 2? Definitely more. Man, if it is a serious finger overstrain, it's definitely going to take more than 2 weeks. And massage the ball, maybe. Again, doc said it's liquid. Yeah, so we're talking about a ganglion here, probably. You see, I could be a climbing doctor there as well already. No, I'm not a climbing doctor, but yeah, maybe massage the ball a little bit and get the fluid out. But if the conditions for the fluid to be in there are removed, which means that the stuff heals up, then the fluids is going to disappear anyway. Okay, so I guess it doesn't really make a lot of sense to desperately try to press that fluid out. Okay. The Dan Stone, by the way, thanks for the channel. You're amazing and helpful. That's very much appreciated. I hope I could also help you with this answer here a little bit. That's an interesting question, formulated in a kind of a funny way. T. Kevin asks, why it wear out more on the fingertips for outdoor climbing, but wear out more on palm for indoor climbing? So what T. Kevin is mentioning here, the fact that outdoor climbing gets on your fingertips much more than indoor climbing, while indoor climbing gets on the palm of your hands much more. Well, obviously, because you're taking more jogs when you're indoor climbing. Okay, outdoor climbing rarely contains jogs. In fact, outdoor climbing very often contains super small holds, which is what you want actually, because that's going to give you more performance when it comes to climbing. And of course, it also gives you more tough skin, more calluses on your fingertips. Okay, compared to when you're only grabbing jogs, of course, you're going to have the calluses closer to the palm of your hands. Johannes B. How would you train through a pulley finger injury without using your finger at all? Without using your finger at all is hard, man. Honestly, even if I ruptured my pulley and I would have to get surgery, get this pulley sewn together again, and even in that condition, I would at least try to use it a little bit. Nothing is worse for any kind of tissue than giving it absolute rest, okay? In my personal opinion. Again, attention here, I'm not a doctor, but if you're giving tissue absolute rest, you're basically telling it that it's useless. And what your body is then going to do is it's going to degrade it slowly but surely. It's going to make it weaker and weaker. And by that, actually making it harder to heal completely. Okay, because then once you're stepping back into the climbing process, you're going to feel it again instantly. And eventually, maybe you're even going to hurt it again instantly. Okay, so I would definitely try, man. If you can, get that stuff active. At least grab something from time to time to remember it, to remind it what its use actually is, okay? Don't let it cool down completely. Ibrahim Abdullah asks, I can climb 7B/C, how do I improve? That's a pretty broad question, man. I went up really quickly, then plateaued, then I went up quickly, now I've plateaued again. Well, sorry, I don't know your weaknesses. I don't know your whether that's indoors or outdoors. Can't really make a statement on that. Need more information. Jagannath Traders, sorry, why are you climbing? Because it's awesome. I like the sport. Um, then we are jumping down. Enid asks, how do you feel about the conflict between nature conservation and climbing that exists in some areas? Very good question. Very good question, Enid. It's definitely a problem. Okay, it's definitely a problem. Nature conservation is a problem. Why? Well, climbing is becoming very popular at this point, and a lot of people going out from the gyms. They start in the gyms, then they want to go out, and they carry their bad habits to the crag sometimes, or maybe more often than not. Okay, they are carrying their bad habits to the crag, and what does that mean? We see cigarette butts a lot. We see a lot of trash lying around. We also see a lot of toilet paper. Okay, people shitting around everywhere. It's a problem, especially for the people who might own the place. Okay, because let's be honest here, very often we've got private property owners, at least close to the crags or near the crags, and then the path is going through their property. Here in Austria, for example, it's very often a problem with hunters, who would like to have a quiet habitat for wild game, obviously. And it's not very helpful if there are a couple of climbers at this crag screaming around and shouting and stuff like that. So being guilty of that myself, okay, I'm fully aware of that this is a problem. This is a problem, man. And it's going to be interesting to where this all leads, to be honest, because there's a lot less space for crazy guys, in outdoor climbing crags than there is in an indoor climbing setting. In an indoor climbing setting, you can do what you want. Okay, you can scream around, you can be the idiot, so to say, and entertain a couple of people. It's no problem. Outdoors, it's a bit different for obvious reasons. We've got nature there and stuff like that. So what I think could be a cool solution for the problem is having regular cleanup days, which they already implemented in a couple of areas that I know. Okay, so there is a cleanup day once a month or something, and then everybody gathers around and goes around and picks up the trash. This is a good practice, I would say, to keep the crag clean, to keep nature clean and stuff like that. Still doesn't really solve the wildlife problem, with people screaming around. But yeah, what you're gonna do? You can just try your best, and this way postpone the day that the crag is gonna be closed by the property owner at some point. Which eventually, it already happened to a couple of places here. So yeah, this is definitely not something that is just taken to be granted. Okay, having access to a good outdoor crag, it should be appreciated, and it should be valued as such. You should treat it with respect, and take your trash back home and stuff like that, and behave. Okay, behave. Hey Manny, what are your tips for hard outdoor on-sites? First of all, go somewhere where on-siting is easy. Okay, if you want to reach your on-site limit, you should go somewhere like Spain or something, where signs of chalk clearly set themselves apart between the background color of the crag. Here in Austria, in East Austria especially, where we have a lot of limestone, on-siting is super hard because you can't read the rock as easily from the bottom, and also while climbing. In Spain, this is a different story because the rock tends to be orange or red, or these warm colors, very different from chalk, and also stepping marks, which are usually black from the rubber. You can identify them very easily and quickly, which is not the case here. So first tip, go somewhere where on-siting is easy. Second tip, have a lot of experience. Okay, have a lot of experience and be good at on-siting, be good at reading routes. This is something which comes with experience. You have to make a lot of routes in a certain grade to be able to just estimate whether this move now is going to be too hard for the grade and therefore is the wrong beta. This is something that goes here a long way actually. Being able to identify when a move would actually be too hard for that certain grade, and thereby spending a little bit more time finding the correct beta, and this way finding the right beta for a climb more quickly until you eventually are able to on-site it even. Okay, so this way experience helps you a lot with on-siting. How do you get experience? Well, climb more, climb more. Also, be super quick and precise and have no fear of falling. Okay, fear of falling is definitely an on-site killer for most people. Most people, especially on lower grade on-siting, they simply get the shits, and then they say, take me, and then they're sitting in the rope, killing the on-site off there, which they might have pulled through if they just would have tried. Okay, but because they were fearful, they stopped. Of course, you shouldn't go over your you shouldn't lose common sense, so to say. You should not do anything stupid, but having a decent fear of falling game is going to help you a lot with on-siting as well. What did you trip on? I tripped on Filmmaking Gear in Norway and Germany and the Czech Republic. Dennis Kunert asks, hey Manny, any advice to improve from 6B plus 6C-ish to 7A in bouldering? Stuck for over 5 months now. Training 3 to 4 times a week, climbing for 2.5 years now. Well, 2.5 years, 6C, that's decent. The question is what your weakness is, What do you think is your weakness? I would say if you have a solid 6C, 6B plus-ish grade, it might well be the case that you just need to find a problem that suits you very well, and you could climb a 7A, okay? So let's say you're a tall guy, you have a lot of span, simply find a reachy problem. For example, this could be one strategy. If you really want to get fitter, what's going to help you more is finger strength. But since you are outdoor bouldering already, hopefully, and not indoors, if you're just indoor bouldering, go outdoor bouldering, and you're gonna jump to 7A instantly. If it's already outdoor bouldering that we're talking about, do more outdoor bouldering, and maybe try something like the hangboard as well to really hit finger strength and stuff like that, right? That's what we want to do. Stream seems to be working this time really well, huh? Give me some feedback, please. Can you hear me? Can you see me properly now? I just tried this to make this stream. I wanted to make a post trip live stream, but could not get it done in my freaking climbing gym. I tell you, internet is crappy there, and also lots of people, checking in and out all the time, which kicks me out, so to say, a couple of times. And what I really like doing actually is doing these live streams where there's also a little bit of training involved, like seeing me doing a hang on the hangboard every couple of minutes or something like that, or try a handstand or something like that every couple of minutes. Unfortunately, we cannot do this here, but here we have good internet, and this is just amazing. It seems to work. So yeah, appreciate everybody who's here with me at the moment. Let's keep the stream going for a bit. Klingston66 says, hello, I injured my knee 5 weeks ago. Seitenband Einriss. From a hook or something, huh? What do you think? When I should start climbing again, or is it from something different? I don't know. I really can't make a good comment on that, man, because climbing can actually be more intense on the knees than you would think, especially with heel hooks. There's definitely people who tore or ripped apart their meniscus, while heel hooking on very aggressive heel hooks. So there's definitely something that you gotta be cautious, I would say, at least there. Something that you should keep in mind. Okay, wait until the thing grows together again and is solid again, and then, or just maybe avoid tough heel hooks with that knee at least. Okay. Many, are you play IFSC World Cup? No. No, you're not gonna see me there. Kokori XD. Hi, Pinda Konstantin. Yo, Konstantin, what's up? Was nice to meet you today. Kingston66 says, I meant bouldering. Yeah, same thing with bouldering applies, with bouldering especially because we've got a lot of heel hooks on bouldering. Yeah, so be careful with the heel hooks, man. And also with the mantling, just robbing yourself on top of a boulder with an injured knee might not be such a good idea. Hush Whisper. Each people call it different things. I call it the Garden of Eden, and I found its location. It's at Barun Dam in Iran. I found it 2010 using Google Earth. Come see, please. I can prove it. Okay. Don't know what that is, but sounds interesting. Maybe I gotta go to Iran soon. Kirill Correa. I started climbing 2.5 years ago and now climb 7B on the rock. Great. But I have problems with my tendons, capsula, on both middle fingers. It's much better with tape. Should I continue taping or reduce climbing? In my frank opinion, reduce climbing. If you cannot take it only without tape, Taping, in my opinion, for inner issues is a double-edged sword, at least, okay? Because you're introducing forces into your structures which they are not used to, which they are not built to endure. Also, it supports your tendons in some sort of way, which takes weight off them, which removes the reason why they are actually there, which causes your body to degrade them slowly, even sometimes maybe, okay? So I would rather reduce the climbing below the pain threshold, which can be super low, okay? Just do something, don't do nothing. And in my opinion, that's better than taping, okay? I only use tape for surface issues, if I'm having a split on my skin or something like that. If I want to prevent it from hurting, simply, and I want to keep climbing. That's it. Otherwise, I don't tape. That's what I can say to that. Angry Rabbit says, hello, just creeping. Random showing up to random people's lives. What's up, man? Kevin Guanziroli. Interesting name, man. Guanziroli. Did you read climbing book? Did you read climbing book? Would you recommend one? I got 2 from Eric Hurst and still has to read Mastermind. It's funny, Mastermind seems to be super hyped at the moment. A lot of people are mentioning that book already in previous live streams and stuff like that. And I also heard people talk about in real life. So I haven't read Mastermind. I haven't read Eric Hurst. There's only one climbing book that I read through, and this is 9 out of 10 climbers make the same mistakes, by I think Dave McLeod, right, was the author of that one. And this is a great book, something that I really can recommend to people here, okay? If there's one book you should read, then this one. It's a bit more old school. There's not a lot of pictures in there, it's just text, but really good stuff. A lot of truth in that book. Adam, Deutsch. Hier wird Englisch geredet, weil ich will, dass die meisten Leute mich verstehen. Aber ich kann kurz, wenn Sie wollt, ein bisschen was auf Deutsch reden. Da ist sogar eine deutsche Frage. Bist du wieder mal in der Boulderbar in Salzburg? Boulderbar Salzburg, vielleicht im November einmal, okay? Vielleicht im November, weil wir da mal kurz rauffahren, Richtung Linz wahrscheinlich, und da können wir vielleicht auch mal kurz vorbeischauen in der Boulderbar in Salzburg. Jo, das ist es mehr oder weniger. Schauen wir mal, was noch für Fragen sind. The Extra Mile asks, climbing in the US anytime soon? The red is great right now. Damn, Red River Gorge, I suppose, or Red Rocks, Red River Gorge, I don't know. Not anytime soon, but I would like to visit the USA at some point because of its stunning nature and stuff like that. And also, of course, because of its great climbing. would be amazing to meet that at some point. But yeah, definitely something, that has to be planned a bit more crucially, a bit more properly, because I'm not gonna go there for like 2 weeks or something, yeah, right? I would stay there for a couple of months, probably travel around a bit, and this is something that I would have to plan a bit in advance. But I'm gonna let you know, man. You're gonna see anyway via the videos, hopefully. Mm, Tille asks, hi, how tall are you? 173 centimeters and weight at the moment around 65 kilograms. Tooth of Loof. Are you psyched for more outdoor bouldering since your Albarracin trip, or will sport climbing remain your number one love? I think sport climbing will remain my number one love because it also incorporates much more of the strategic and mental element, which I like a lot when it comes to climbing in general. At least in my opinion, it involves a lot of that much more. And I will still do outdoor bouldering actually quite a lot. Also, recently, since I found a new area, I would like to check that out quite a lot because, as I said previously, it's such an effective way of training finger strength. I cannot ignore it, unfortunately, this time. So, yeah, I'm gonna train outdoor bouldering as well. Gonna train by doing outdoor bouldering, I should say. The Iron Priest says, hello Manny, how would you recommend improving your skills as a climbing coach or just as a coach in general? I'm interested in getting into this field. Good question, man. Thanks for all the good questions, my friends. Thanks for all the good questions. Interesting stuff today. What makes a good coach? What makes a good coach? It's an interesting question. For me, a good coach is very good at motivating the trainee. Okay, motivating the trainee to do the right things, hopefully. But first of all, motivating the trainee. Okay, if you're having a super motivated trainee already, which is the case if you're training someone who wants to get to the top, if you have something like that, so also sometimes with children that's the case. Okay, they can be super motivated. In that case, a good coach knows how to guide this motivation down the right tracks. Okay, so that there is a lot of improvement but as little injury as possible, which, as I've said previously, is something injury that you unfortunately cannot avoid at some point, especially if you did not start at age 6 years or 5 years old, where your body had all that time to adapt to this kind of sport. If you're starting like me with 16 or 17, you're gonna develop injuries if you're getting stronger at all. Okay, actually, developing injuries is a sign of you getting stronger because it means that you increase the forces these tissues have to endure. It means that you got stronger, so it means that you progressed. Okay, so yeah, good coach knows how to track his trainees down the right roads, so to say. A good coach knows how to write a good training regimen. This is also something that's very important because it's very unlikely that you're going to stick with your trainee 100% of the time. Okay, you got to be able to write something down for your person to be able to execute that if you're not with him or her. Okay, so plan sessions like that. Keeping the big picture in mind. Okay, what's the actual goal of your trainee? You just want to get stronger for outdoor climbing? Is there some kind of competition involved? Do you need to have a short peak, okay, of performance, or do you have to have a longer phase of performance, like a trip, for example, that the person wants to train for? All these questions, man. The good coach knows these questions, knows the answers for these questions as well, of course, and knows how to guide people down this road. Bruno San Giorgio again. Like your name, Bruno San Giorgio. Gets me into the Italian mode again. Although that might not even be Italian, but I don't care. Bruno San Giorgio. The problem is that I don't have much muscle and still have some fat to lose. maybe it would be a good idea to train more calisthenics to build up that foundation first. I'm actually quite new to climbing. Well, if you have a lot of muscle and if you don't have a lot of muscle and still a lot of fat to lose, something that would be cool in connection with climbing would be maybe swimming or something like that. Some aerobic endurance thing which helps you to burn that fat off. Another thing you can do is fasting, my friend. If you have some fat to lose, a very effective way is obviously fasting, getting rid of that body fat and also getting some serious self-development in, if that is something that you haven't tried already, just giving you some inputs here. Calisthenics is not gonna burn that fat off. It's gonna burn it off for sure as well, but not as effectively as swimming does, for example, or fasting in that sense. So yeah, I'm actually quite new to climbing. Well, then just climb a lot, man. Climb a lot. Do your calisthenics, do your swimming until the fat is gone, and then you're gonna see amazing improvements as well. From San Georgia, but thanks a lot for the help. Well, I hope I could help you uh, with that answers. Did you consider Circ98 asks, did you consider combine climbing with yoga for more flexibility and mobility? I do a lot of stretching. Okay, a lot of stretching. In recent times, I've been a bit lazy, but if I'm in the flow, I do stretching every other day in the leg department. Other than that, I don't even know if it's super useful to be super flexible, okay? Because it also ruins your muscle tone a little bit. You want to be tight, okay? You want to be strong, especially for these max strength moves. So it doesn't really help you to be super flexible in your shoulders or anything and come across like a wobbly creature or anything like that, okay? You want to be tight. You want to have muscle tone to be able to perform these hard moves. But that being said, in the leg department, we want to be flexible because we want to be able to step quickly and precisely. And this is something that is much easier if you're flexible with your legs, which I said so many times already. I can only recommend it. It's not the number one thing, which is finger strength, but it's definitely up there. So it actually would help a lot of people. Why do I not do yoga for my flexibility? Because I don't need anything that's sophisticated. I mean, yoga is not really a lot. It's not very sophisticated as well. But I have the feeling that my stretching exercises are just as effective. It takes very little time. Um, yeah, I don't just don't see the need. Okay. Anton Landmark asks, "What did you study?" I studied biology in Vienna. Back in Vienna, I did my bachelor in biology, and I also studied 1 year of the master. Actually, did a couple of ECTS of the master as well until I decided that it's not interesting enough for my time anymore. But yeah, the bachelor was great. It was very interesting. Lots of chemistry, lots of ecology, lots of big picture stuff, putting the pieces together, how everything works in the biological landscape, so to say, and that's very interesting. Also, knowledge which I would not like to miss, okay, because it yeah, it explains a lot of things. Why it explains a lot, especially why things are how they are at the moment, and this is also something that you can use to make predictions and stuff like that. So really interesting. I enjoyed it a lot. Unfortunately, in the master, it got really, really specific. Okay, they are only looking on one protein of one bacterium anymore, and for me, I have the feeling in that situation that I'm doing something which is interesting maybe to another 10 specialists around the globe, but not really. It's not gonna put a lot of people out of breath, so to say, and say, "Wow, this protein is so awesome." Okay, so I mean, I know that's basic science, and basic science can be important or can be useful as well at some point. Um, but yeah, for me, I lost a bit the interest in that at that point. Also, the thing with studying, I talked about in the video. Do I still study? Uh, Everybody is studying nowadays. Okay, so you can't really set yourself apart by studying today anymore. Um, Rather do the things you want to do sooner and get better at those quicker, and making it your living sooner. This is something that I would advise a young person of today. You cannot set yourself apart by studying anyway. Okay, you can study if this is something that is necessary for your vocation, I think is the word, your passion. So if you want to be a doctor just so desperately, well, then you gotta have to have studied medicine. That's just how it is. But if it is something else, and you know that already, which is the ideal case, then do that by all means. And if you don't know at all what to do, then you better think about it now. Okay, a lot of people just study because they don't know what else to do. Okay, and this is I mean, they are doing something, then they are studying, but if you think about it closer, you could also say they are simply just still distracting themselves from the question what they actually want to do in their life. When they best would be to sit these people in a dark room for 24 hours, and they just should think about what they want to do in their life. Okay, and when they get a conclusion on that, start with that and pull it through, man. Push it through. It's gonna yield the most happiness, I think, and the most satisfaction, the greatest satisfaction as well, I think. Corbin, hey Manny, not a question, but I just wanted to say thanks. Since I started climbing a year ago, I've been watching your videos and steadily getting better. Just 2 days ago, I sent my first 513C project. Wow, nice one, 513C. That's good. Nice one, Corbin. Keep crushing, man. Vitalzyme, audio and video are good. That's awesome. That's awesome. All good, Manny. The stream is flowing beautifully. Amazing. Yeah. It's because we're in a different place now. Unfortunately, not in the climbing gym anymore, where I can't show you itsy bitsy shots of my training in the background, unfortunately. But here we have good internet, and I wanted to get this freaking post-trip stream done. If you don't know, in case you don't know, this is already attempt number 4 or something. Okay, I tried it the day before yesterday a couple of times in the climbing gym, but it didn't work out because the internet failed me big time. But here we are, flowing beautifully. Amazing. Thanks for the people who are with me now. Already 1 hour and 26 minutes into this stream. I think we're gonna go for 2 hours and then we're gonna keep it at that. Okay, because here it's actually already quite in the evening. We're getting close to 21 o'clock here in Austria, in Styria. But we got a couple of questions to answer here still, as I see. Ooh, the chat jumped down again. Need to scroll up. Philip, what rope length do I need to climb in Flatanger? Well, you would be very well advised to have at least an 80-meter rope there, okay? The longer the better, man. 80 meters should get you up most climbs, okay? I mean, still, there's things that are, 60, 70 meters even there. But yeah, depending on what grade you climb as well. I think with an 80-meter rope, most people would be satisfied in Flatanger. Silly Yet asks, how do you go from 147 to 159 campus board? You're asking the wrong guy, man. I didn't campus board for a hell lot of time. I would actually be surprised. No, I just wanted to say I would be surprised if I would do the 147 without any problems back on my hardcore campus board in Vienna. But actually, I'm not so weak at the moment, so maybe I could pull it off here instantly. But it's a freaking hard move, man. 159 is freaking hard. This requires you already to lock off the edge, and hang it one-handed essentially to be able to over grip to the next one. So just train more campus boarding in that case to go even further. And also be freaking tall, okay? Have a lot of reach. Doing these crazy overreaching campus moves requires a lot of reach as well. So don't be desperate if you just have short arms or are just short, okay, it's it's a lot harder for short people. Also depends, of course, on how spaced your rungs are on your campus board. Maybe you've got a super easy campus board, okay, then it's a different story again. Christine Simonsen, hi from Tromsø again. Tromsø, city in the very north of Norway, so super high up there. Just wondering how you feel about yoga and if you do any yoga. If so, what kind? I just answered this question very recently where somebody asked me if I already have combined yoga and climbing. I did not do any yoga at any point. I just don't see the necessity. I also don't do yoga at this point. I just do my stretching. Okay, I do my stretching. I do my mobilizing routine before every climbing with every warm up. And this works just beautifully. Okay, I don't see the necessity to be super flexible in the spine and do all these downward dogs and upwards bats and sidewards wombats and kangaroos and stuff like that. No, just kidding. But I just don't see the necessity apart from the legs, where you should be flexible if you want to have an ideal constitution for climbing performance. Okay, leg flexibility is going to help you so much with stepping quickly and precisely, and this is something that we want to have if you want to climb well. Also helps a lot with mantling, also helps a lot with hooking, so there is a couple of things that are important, but it doesn't necessarily have to come from yoga, your flexibility. Okay, you can just do normal stretching. But I know yoga is super trendy and tip at the moment, so a lot of people do it. Teotaku Himani, have you heard of collagen supplements from Eric Hurst? I'm using it to get back from pulley injury and feeling my tendons are really getting stronger. Any opinion on supplements? You don't need any supplements if you are on a holistic, proper diet. Okay, I can understand that collagen supplements work for a lot of people out there. First of all, collagen is not. If you're coming from a very plant-based background, let's call it that way, you will feel the effect of more collagen in your diet instantly, because collagen is not plant-based, right? We've got here an animal-based supplement, if it's proper collagen at least. There are collagen supplements which are vegan as well, for all the injury-stricken vegans out there who don't want to live their path no matter what. Yeah, but the truth is real collagen is animal derived, and if you're coming from a very plant-based background, then it's going to help you a lot, of course. If you, on the other hand, have already a holistic diet, which also includes proper, good animal products, because they have their necessity, they have their impacts on our health and stuff like that, then you should not need any supplements. Okay, I don't take anything at this point. I used to take vitamin D and vitamin B12 when I was still vegan. That's all I took back then. At the moment, I don't take anything because I have the feeling it is just perfect how it is. Okay, it's perfect how it is. Ela Ilofsen, jetzt verstehe ich es endlich. People want me to talk German all the time. Na gut, dann schauen wir mal, was die nächsten Comments so sagen. Ross M sagt, hi, do you ever get tennis elbow? And if so, then how does it affect your climbing? Hi, kriegst du manchmal Tennisellenbogen? Und wie influenziert, wie, you see, I'm already more used to English than to German. This is actually pretty crazy. Und bist du schon gewohnt oder wie kann man mit so einer Verletzung klettern? The tennis elbow I never really had. I have a slight golfer in my left elbow already since over 2 years. Talked about that before as well. How does it influence my climbing? Well, not at all at this point because I don't feel it when I climb, which is fortunate because it allows me to climb at my limit at this moment. But same advice as always with inner injuries. Don't go over the pain threshold. Your body is trying to tell you something. Take his advice seriously and stay below the pain threshold, Just climb, keep climbing softer than usual, get the blood flow going, keep the tissue warm, get nutrients to the area and try to heal it up, Also KM Pots, kannst du ankündigen, wenn du in Salzburg bist? Ja, können wir probieren. Ich kann vielleicht eine kleine Message in dem Community-Tab rausfetzen, before ich hinfahre. By the way, talking about the community tab, okay, if you want to follow my trips more closely, I wanted to say this in the other live streams as well already, but since they got, kind of kicked off because of the bad internet, it doesn't really go through. If you want to follow me on the climbing trips that I do more closely, I will always try to update you on the community tab, the so-called community tab, which is where, you've got videos, and you've got the playlists, you've got the about page, and then there's also this community tab page there where it's very easy to just upload a photo and write a little bit of text. It doesn't take a lot of time, so it's easy to update you very closely to where I actually am. If you're just following the videos, you're most of the time 1 to 2 weeks back, okay? You're delayed, so you can't really be somewhere where I am if you just follow the videos. That's just for the people who maybe want to meet me when I'm on a trip and stuff like that, okay? Then follow the community tab. I'm able to post quicker there, and therefore you can catch up quicker, so to say, okay? Kannst du ankündigen, wann du in Salzburg bist? Ja, yeah, vielleicht kann ich einen Community-Tab-Post machen. Für die Boulderbar meinst du, nehme ich mal an. Mia Meow, are you still vegan? How do you manage finding healthy food when you're traveling? I'm not vegan anymore. I've made a couple of videos about that stuff. I hope that most people in the meantime have realized this message, okay? I know I still have a lot of very popular videos with the old channel name, with vegan rock climbing and stuff like that, which gives the impression, understandably so, that I'm still vegan. But I commented below all of these videos, hey, watch these actual videos, these more up-to-date videos where I talk about, being actually in the ex-vegan crew now, more or less, for a number of reasons, which I'm talking about in these videos. It's a super deep question, super deep topic, actually. Yeah, if you can ask more concrete questions, I can give you more concrete answers. How do you manage finding healthy food when you're traveling? Stay local, okay? Stay local. Try to find out what this country is good at producing, okay? It doesn't make a lot of sense to buy mangoes in Norway. They are not going to be good, okay? Apart from the fact that it's an ecological disaster, yeah? It's much better to buy, for example, herring in Norway, okay, or in Sweden. They have these Matthias fillets there, okay, which are super local. There's not a lot of crab in there. It's a very traditional food there, okay? People there eat it themselves, which is always a good sign, yeah? And these are the foods that you want to seek, okay? They even have, when it's in season and they are allowed to hunt, then there is elk, okay, which is apparently an amazing source of, local food. And it's also, yeah, it's very interesting to try out all these local resources. I mean, up in Norway, what grows there, in terms of fruit, maybe some apples and stuff like that. But the real gems, nutritionally, you're going to find in the animal-based foods there. Always try to find out what the certain country is good at producing, and then try to find that, avoid supermarkets. Try to buy from local farms, whether it's vegetables or from the animal kingdom, okay? Always try to go with local farms, because then also the people see something of the profit, actually, which is also it's a lot nicer, you are a lot of nice and a lot nicer tourist when you do it that way. Let's call it that. Servus, did you try some routes in Frankenjura? Dominic Isnet asks this. I have been to the Frankenjura twice in the past. This was pre-YouTube, I think. So there's not really any Frankenjura videos on the channel, but I have been there twice, for every time for about 5 days to a week or something. Amazing. Liked it a lot. Super bouldery, short roots, limestone, very pockety, which is something that fits me very well because I have quite thin and short fingers. So I'm quite strong on pockets. I like it a lot. Kennst du die Wim Hof Method? Ja, ich meine, der Wim Hof atmet einfach sehr gerne. Was soll ich sagen? Er atmet sehr gerne und gerne seine Luft anhalten und so weiter. Do you know the Wim Hof Method was the question. I know it. I do something similar when it comes to very hard projects. You can actually, just before you start, take a couple of very, very deep breaths, okay? And I've noticed that this behavior postpones the onset of the pump quite significantly, okay? Simply because you're saturating your blood with oxygen. And this, of course, gives you a little bit more time until the pump, which is essentially a consequence of the lack of oxygen, arrives in your forearms. So this is something that I can absolutely recommend. Take a couple of deep breaths before you start climbing, and also during your climb. But this is a bit of a double-edged sword because you can't always breathe during climbing. Okay, if you've got a super hard crux move, you have to hold your breath. Otherwise, you can't do the crux move. Sometimes. For other people, on the other hand, they like to shout, okay, when just simply doing a super hard move, breathing out, okay? Breathing in general, very interesting topic in the context of climbing. And Wim Hof, he's a specialist for his things. He does all these cold stunts with swimming in the ice and all that kind of stuff. If you ask me, is it really necessary, to do all that stuff? Is it healthy to expose your body to these kind of forces, to such a low temperature and all this kind of things? Yeah, it's kind of questionable, I think. But it's, of course, cool to be able to do it. Let's put it that way. Oh, damn, chat jumped down again. Also, last stream, somebody asked me how you can support the channel, okay? Very easy way to support the channel during such live stream, and also to make your question pop up, is actually to do super chats, okay? Doesn't really happen a lot during my streams, no problem. If it would occur, I would prefer to answer these questions, of course, because you've donated something to the channel. So this is one way how you can support the channel. Another way is to join the Patreon tribe, which the link is below every below every video in the description for those who are really interested in supporting the channel. I know these people exist, so for those of you who would like to do that, these are your options. Aitor Aldama says, "Hello Mani, nice to see you, dude. Do you still fast?" What's up, man? Greetings from Austria. Yes, I do still fast from time to time. Just recently completed a 2-day fast, by the way. Water fasting. I don't like water fasting a lot, as you know, not with a lot of water at least. I drank very little water, almost like in a dry fast, but a bit of water with a bit of salt in it, potassium chloride and sodium chloride to keep the juices, flowing, keep the juices going. With this kind of fasting, you're also much more ready to take in food again, after your fast. I also don't like fasting for super long periods of time, although it's very cool to be able to do that again. But I don't think it's very necessary, and I'm not really sure if it's really very healthy, if it really has this kind of cleansing effect on the body, or if it's just something. Always keep in mind, you use it or lose it, okay? If you don't use your digestion regularly, you might lose it, okay? Because your body thinks, okay, well, we don't need to produce that stuff anymore. Let's shut it down. If you then take food in again, you're gonna have troubles, okay? That's why I prefer shorter fasts, like 2 to 4 days or something, on salt water or dry, okay? It's gonna give the best results, and for climbing, of course, awesome tool to increase your performance short term, at least, because you're going to be a lot lighter after such a fast. Husi Himmelherrschaft says, nice quality audio and video. Great, awesome. I finally found a proper place, proper spot to stream. That's amazing. So here we have Tim Ignatov. By the way, we are going another 15 minutes, then we gotta stop. I gotta talk to the people where I'm actually at here. It's gonna be the evening here, and I've separated myself from the society, so to say, and I would like to get back to them at some point. Hey bro, I'm a big fan. That's very much appreciated. Thanks, man. Loved the trip bits. That's amazing. Okay, I have an interesting question. So, shoes. What shoes do you like or want or have for indoor, outdoor sport climbing and indoor, outdoor bouldering? Indoor, outdoor sport climbing. Sport climbing shoe is very depends on what the climb is like. The For vertical climbs, I use the Katana at the moment, which is amazing. Super simple shoe, very stiff. Downside of the shoe is its durability because it's a La Sportiva shoe and they use this Vibram crap rubber. It's gonna go down very quickly, which is something that I don't like, especially if you have to pay a lot of money for these shoes. Okay, however, it's performing quite well on vertical climbs, just as well as the Miura, by the way. It's also a great shoe for vertical climbs. For overhanging stuff, more soft stuff. And this goes for indoor and outdoor. Okay, 510 team. Very downturned, very thin, very thin rubber layer with a lot of feeling. Ich mache noch 15 Minuten, okay? Dann bin ich fertig. Ich freue mich schon sehr. Okay, so yeah, 510 team for the overhanging stuff, and also for training on the 45er, where you have a lot of weight on your fingertips and very little weight on your toe tips. Magst du rauskommen? Traust du nicht? Yeah. Lass der Zeit. Yeah, the more downturn stuff is better if less weight is reaching your toe tips. Yeah, let's put it that way. And that's basically the whole story, man. At the moment, I'm just using the 510 team, my old Katana, which is already getting ruined. It's getting has a lot of holes already on my toe tips, unfortunately. And the Scarpa Drago, which is the shoe that I tested during the last couple of weeks and which I would like to review in a very near future. We have Tim Ignatov again, man. Love the vids. Keep them coming. Stay healthy. I hope so. I'll try my best, man. I will keep them coming. It's still fun to be a YouTuber. And as long as it's fun, I'm gonna do it. And of course, as long as it's sustainable, if you'd like, support the channel. Support the channel. Ellie, hey Manny. How did you train your first few months of climbing? Do you find that weight you trained efficient? I just climbed in a gym. It was a very old school gym. There were not even color boulders, okay? The boulders were marked with some kind of tapes. And from time to time, the tapes would fly off, and would lay on the ground. So the boulders are completely, senseless, were completely useless anymore because there were holes everywhere. You didn't know anymore where your boulder goes. So you had to improvise, had to make up new holes, new moves. So I built a lot of self-made problems during my first 2 years of climbing, where I was in this old school bouldering gym, essentially. And only with time they introduced color bouldering, which means that boulders were depicted by hole colors, okay? And you had proper grading, which is also something that did not exist prior to that. So it was really a lot of improvising, a lot of self-made stuff, making stuff up, okay, inventing boulders on the 45er, which already existed back then, which is something that was great, of course, because I got on the 45er very quickly, got strong relatively quickly, I suppose, because once I got out after 2 years or something, I was able to progress to 8A quite quickly. I think in the time span of a year, a little bit more than a year. So then I plateaued for the first time. Okay, so getting my first 8A plus after I got my first 8A route. I want to mention that because I started outdoor bouldering much too late. Okay, I should have started outdoor bouldering a lot earlier. But in terms of outdoor route climbing, I progressed very fast despite that, luckily. Anyway, that's how I started. Do you find that way to train efficient? I think it's efficient to start with bouldering and get these hard moves done. And yeah, it's also much, it doesn't involve as much mental challenges and doesn't involve as much strategic challenges. So you just to get the basic fitness done. Bouldering is of course excellent, and especially outdoor bouldering, man. Outdoor bouldering is so highly recommended if you want to ever get good in outdoor climbing. Aitor Aldama says, I have to leave. You should check out Ashtanga Yoga Mani. My climbing has improved a lot since I started with it. I believe you'll love it because it integrates a lot of stuff you do with parallels, etc. Peace and keep it crushing. Thanks, man. Yeah, I think, the regular stretching and calisthenic stuff, it has sort of a similar effect probably to climbing than yoga itself. So that's why I don't see the necessity to do another thing on top of all the things that I'm already doing, Dennis Bertrand asks, is push-ups needed, do you think? Could be some sort of corrective exercise. If you want to do push-ups, try to get into handstand push-ups, man, because handstand also incorporates all your core, incorporates back especially, and this is really good corrective exercise because we're pulling a lot when we climb, lots of latissimus, lots of biceps, and the pushing, especially handstand pushing, incorporates a lot of the delts, the traps, trapezius muscle, and the triceps obviously has a very balancing effect on the body, I have the feeling. So yeah, definitely do it. Tim L says, hi Manny, hello from Malaysia. Malaysia, man. Yo, what's up? Greetings from Austria. If you agree that difficulty increases exponentially between grades, in your experience, does the time it takes to break into new grade also increase in the same way? I personally think that grading difficulty does not increase exponentially. However, it actually increases very linearly. But we all have different genetics, and our genetics allow us to climb a certain grade quite conveniently, okay? And to go beyond that grade is extremely hard. This is why it appears to be this is why it appears to be an exponential grading, an exponential grade increase. But in fact, it's just our genetics, our genetic wall, which is just hitting us at some point. Okay, this is how I see it nowadays. And to go beyond that is very, very hard. But someone, okay, let's make an example. One guy pushes through to 8A very quickly, and then it's very hard to get his first 8A plus done. Another guy pushes through to 7A very quickly, and then it's hard for him to get his first 7A plus done. Okay, so would the 7A plus guy would say now, beyond 7A, it's getting exponentially harder to climb 8A. I don't think it's the case. Okay, neither it is the case that it's getting exponentially harder after 8A. The grading ladder is relatively linear. This is something that I realize the more higher up I get, because below of what I've already reached, it seems very linear. But beyond it, it is super hard, obviously, because I'm so close to my limit already. So it appears to be exponentially hard, whereas in fact we are only hitting our genetic wall. And to go beyond that is tough, man. It's hard, but it's a lot of fun as well. So in your experience, does the time it takes to break into new grade also increase in the same way? Yes, of course. If you're beyond your genetic wall, you're gonna take way more time, okay, to break through to a new grade. I mean, I'm at 8C now with route climbing since over 2 years, I think. Okay, and I haven't climbed a solid 8C plus. I've climbed stuff which could be close to that, but still not a solid one. Okay, so this goes to show how, if you're very close to your limit already, how much more time you're gonna put into a new grade. Okay. um, Troy Vietnam, man. Troy Vietnam is on my stream, man. Greetings to you. Greetings from Austria. Don't talk shit about the sideways wombats, man. Sorry about that, man. I didn't want to be harsh there or anything. Although good thoughts about the futility of education in the modern age. You're a thinker. I enjoyed your series where you talk shit and shit while driving through the shitholes of Norway. Spooky stuff. Great comment, man. Dude, make more videos. Make more videos. I love your videos, man. I love your little adventures. It's always so fun to watch them, man. I hope you're still on the stream and receiving this message, Troy. You always was an inspiration. I have to say, really enjoy your stuff. Here we have Christina Simonsen again. Yeah, 69 degrees north and so beautiful. Tromsø, she's talking about. I haven't been there, by the way, but I heard great stuff. And I met someone from Tromsø in Hell, the crag which is close to Trondheim. So he was telling me from it, and that was pretty cool. A lot of mountains, great for climbing also. By the way, been loving your more spiritual, philosophical rants. Do you have any favorite philosophers? Ooh, favorite philosophers. Not really, to be very honest. I didn't read a lot of philosophical books or anything. Very honestly, I come up with a lot of that stuff myself when I'm when I'm driving these crazy long drives. You get kind of thinking about certain things, and that's interesting. Then I just want to talk about that stuff. That's basically it. Pavlo Busco. Do you think that? Oh damn! Chat jumped down again. Ooh, we're getting spammed. We're getting spammed here, I think. Anyway, Pavlo Busco says, do you think that someone starting at age 20 with 10 years of perfect training, one could go to the Olympics? Well, it depends on the discipline. You can become a super nice bow shooter still after 40, It doesn't really involve a lot of, well, it'd be wrong to say that. Of course, it involves physical fitness as well, but it's much more accuracy, and it really depends on the sport. In terms of climbing, it's gonna be freaking hard, man, because the strong guys start with 6, 7 already, and you have to be a genetic freak to start after 20 and still reach the level of someone who is probably a genetic freak as well and starts with age 5. Okay, so that's gonna be hard. But yeah, Camilo Bernard asks, where do you see yourself in the next 10 years, not including climbing harder? That's an interesting question, man. Living a calm life on the countryside, somewhere where there's good food. Okay, good food, very important. Living a calm life on the countryside where there's good food, and with a person that I like a lot. Okay, so with family and stuff like that. It's of course another chapter in anyone's life, which is very interesting and which I think should be discovered at some point by anyone, because it's such a central pillar of happiness when it comes to the human existence, I think. Okay, to put it very philosophical. But yeah, doing that kind of stuff, climbing is not everything, man. I've realized this in a couple of last years already. I have the feeling, this is also has something to do with why I moved out of the cities, why I moved to the countryside, because there are certain things which are just better here. And if you are following the recent developments, so to say, with what's happening in the world out there and stuff, it's all very questionable, man. It's all very, very questionable. There's a lot of stuff going on at the moment. We're living in very interesting times. That's all I'm gonna say for now. And yeah, I would rather spend these times on the countryside, somewhere else, somewhere in the nowhere where there's good food. It's just a place to live than somewhere else. Lex Lewis will ein Moonboard zu Hause bauen in Wien. Ungefähr 30 Grad. Hast du einen Blueprint dafür, wie man die Holzwand am besten an eine Ziegelwand anbringen kann? Naja, du wirst wahrscheinlich ziemlich fette Dübel brauchen zunächst einmal. Wenn du eine Ziegelwand hast, dann bist du schon gut dabei, weil ich habe eigentlich nur Rigipswände gehabt in meiner Wohnung, was es super schwer gemacht hat, ein Hangboard überhaupt dort aufzuhängen. Okay, also ich habe eigentlich durch meinen Türstock durchgebohrt und durch meine Türwand durchgebohrt und auf der anderen Seite ein Holzbrettel dorthin geben, damit es das fixiert. Damit ich die Wand nicht so sehr belasten muss, ja, mit einem Dübel, der sowieso nicht gehalten ist. So viel dazu, auf Wienerisch geantwortet. Wenn du Ziegelwand hast, schon, von vornherein, dann gratuliere, kauf dir gescheite Dübel, bau eine gescheite Holzkonstruktion mit gescheiten Balken, okay, die ein bisschen Gewicht aushalten und dann sollte es eigentlich kein Problem sein. Man kommt natürlich auch darauf an, wie dick diese Ziegelwand ist, okay. Ist es, da bin ich leider kein Experte, ich habe noch nie ein Moonboard irgendwo gebaut oder eine Kletterwand irgendwo gebaut. Ja. Doch, eigentlich habe ich eine Kletterwand gebaut, nämlich in Fürstenfeld, die 45er. Aber das ist eine andere Geschichte, weil da haben wir das Problem komplett mit einem Holzgerüst geregelt und haben es sozusagen nicht auf einer Wand fixieren müssen. It's a bit of a different story there. Christine Simonsen again, MC commenter. And also, could you do a day in the life, what I eat in a day video? Only vegan models do them, as it seems. Yeah, they do them quite a lot, man. They do them quite a lot. And funnily enough, when I was still vegan, I did them quite a lot as well. It's so funny, man. You're in this mindset that you found the holy grail of nutrition. Now you have to share it with everyone. It's so amazing. It's so amazing. Not realizing that you actually, became victim of a little bit of a trendy fad nowadays. Okay, which is a little bit pushed almost nowadays onto the population of certain countries, at least for a good reason, because it's very profitable again. Because everything which occurs nowadays has to be profitable, and of course also this movement is long infiltrated by profitable things. Okay, it's not the green hippie movement anymore that it used to be. Okay, veganism is not this cool of a thing anymore. It's already got infiltrated. We see vegan advertisements around every corner, vegan alternatives. Ask yourself why this is the case. Since I've changed my diet, the need to share what I eat went down quite a lot. Okay, it's kind of once you found your balance, you don't really need to shout it out anymore. Okay, it's kind of this narcissistic thing, which is definitely a weakness of mine, I have to admit. After all, I'm a YouTuber. Okay. This narcissistic thing, I think, goes down quite a lot if you really find your balance. It's quite interesting, actually, when you think about it. Your diet has a huge influence on your character, and of course on the physical appearance of your body, just as well as your character, which is also just a result of the physical appearance of one of your organs, which is your brain. Okay, so it's really interesting. Also, the role of saturated animal fats and cholesterol that play a role here. So much about that. Dominic is net. I have to hold my breath to make hard moves. I compress my body while holding my breath. Exactly, that's what I was saying. How much do you weigh? Around 65 kilograms at the moment. Kostenloses Internet supportet den Channel auch, ja, stimmt. Okay, and then we get then we get a little bit of spamming and stuff like that. Oh damn, then the chat jumps down again. I think we're gonna cut this stream off here. We're already over 2 hours. Again, thank you so much for joining me on the stream. Finally, we could get it done with a lot better internet than in the climbing gym. It was amazing. Thanks for the awesome questions. I think we're gonna see ourselves quite soon. I just kind of have to go back and get back into making normal videos again after the trip videos. Which were a lot of fun to do, but now it's more about training again, more about reviewing stuff, and maybe hard projects as well. Some missions coming up maybe. Anyway, really cool stuff. I enjoyed making the stream. I hope the quality is all right. I will also try to save the stream after the stream is done for a video on the channel, and there you can re-watch it. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for joining. See you soon in the next one.